Hey guys, it is Tanya, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another speed build. And if you're watching this the day it comes out, Merry Christmas Eve, or Christmas Day if you're watching it the day after. Today, we are building the house from the movie Home Alone. And I don't know about you guys, but Home Alone is a movie that I strongly associate with my childhood. I watch every year, and I quite like. I think it's a really fun film, and I've had this on my to-do list probably 6-7 months or so. I was like, around Christmas, let's build the Home Alone house, and so that's what we're doing here today. As you can see, I at first placed down a bunch of windows that had shutters on them, and then I was like, no, I'm going to make my own shutters. And the reason for that is on the top floor, there are windows, like 2 tile windows that coincide with the bottom floor, but then there's one that's centered in the middle area of the house, but I couldn't do that with the pre-shuttered windows because we don't have a 1 tile or a 3 tile that matches 2 tile ones, if that makes sense. So here I am making my own shutters for these windows using these wall divider things that we got with, I don't know if these are the ones we got with Get Famous or the ones we got with City Living. I think they're the Get Famous ones. So on the bottom, each window has 8 of these, 4 on each side. And then on the top level, each side has 2. I used the longer ones for the shorter windows on the top to make them look like shutters. And I think it came out pretty well. I really wanted to use these windows because they have that detailing on the top of those little indents, which looked a lot to me like the brick detailing that the actual house has, and I thought that was the closest I could probably get to that. But now we're working on incorporating the attic into this build because I thought that was super important. And I will say that most of this house is rather accurate to how the floor plan actually is, but some of it just isn't because it's really hard to translate things into The Sims from real life. Like, proportions just don't make sense, but I did try my best. The attic is definitely the attic and basement are probably 2 of the most different rooms in the house because I feel like there's not a lot of reference to them. There's a lot of space to fill, and I did my best. But most of the rest of it, I think, is pretty accurate. And you'll see me fiddle with the floor plan for a long time. I actually cut out a majority of that. You'll just see it keep switching and being like, wait, what is that? And like just random parts of the house that shouldn't be there. It's quite a mess because this house, there's floor plans online, but there's multiple floor plans of this house online. There's the ones from the movie of what the house looked like then. And then it seems that the house has been renovated since and has extra parts of the house. And I was kind of looking back and forth between the two and kind of mixed them together somehow. And then I went back and fixed it later, and it was just a whole disaster. So I did not include the floor plan, but there will be screenshots at the end of what it ends up looking like. So hopefully that's okay with you guys. Also, this was just a very long build. I had over 5 hours of footage to go through. It's definitely taken up my life the last couple of weeks, but it's been really fun to do, and I'm glad I finally did this since it's been on my list for so long. I did keep this little bit of the floor plan in though, just planning out the main entryway with the staircase. We have configurable stairs now, which made it so much nicer because there's definitely L-shaped stairs in the entryway to this house, so I was glad to be able to go ahead and include those. So I definitely did a lot of Googling to quickly pull up pictures and references for this house, as well as skipping through the movie, because let's just say Google, when you first look up like Home Alone house garage, you're going to see the house and you're going to see the garage, and it looks like this, except this is what it looks like now or at some point after the movie was made, because in the movie there are 2 doors back there and it's like brick. So we do fix that a little bit later, but right now I'm doing it this way. And also I realized that the pathway to the house doesn't really look like this, and you can see all the weird additions in the back. Don't worry, those are going away. But in order to make it fit with the way I had the lot, I have a little bit of a curved driveway. I could probably have moved it over a little bit and had it less curved, but you know, just limitations of The Sims, so I went with that. But I think it came out really cute. We end up having this just be a standard garage. It has garage type stuff in it, so it's not like a super functional space. I guess it is. There's a flower arranging table and a workbench in there, but I didn't make it like a gym, or I don't know. I do that in a lot of houses, but I felt like this one just being a garage that had like a car in it and some tools and stuff would be a good idea. And here we are just quickly building the little tree house. I didn't make this overly complicated. It's just a little box. And there's some stairs up there. And I think there ends up just being a couple things on the walls and a couple of like cushions and a lawn chair type thing in there. So very, very simple tree house. I almost called it a greenhouse. That is a tree house. I guess trees are green. But anyway, I hope you guys are ready for me to just ramble like that a lot because this is a really long voiceover. And I'm not very practiced in those. I feel like I usually do like 10 to 15 minute ones, not over 30 minutes. But there was just no way to make this that short. I already cut out the floor plan and all of the bathrooms. I think there's 4 of them. So those are not in this footage. Plus just when I couldn't make up my mind for too long, cut all that kind of footage out, and it's still a really long build. But we are in winter now. I think this is when the house comes alive, adding some decorations. So we have a couple of wreaths on the front, and then I put these lights from Parenthood in all of the windows, which looks so cute at night. And then of course adding a couple of cars back here that I thought made sense for the amount of Sims that would be in this house. And honestly, I don't understand how many people live in this house, who lives there. It's like in the beginning of the movie when it's like, do you live here? Do your parents live here? Does anybody live here? Who lives here? There's like 1 million people here, but who lives here? And I just really don't know. So I decorated the bedrooms, like the attic bedroom, the master bedroom, and then Buzz's bedroom. But the other 2, because there's 5 bedrooms, I have no idea what they look like or who they're for or who lives in this house. So I just kind of guessed and made them match the rest of this quite ugly house on the inside. The decorations of this era are just, they're something, all right. Plus, I feel like this house is just always meant to be Christmas because it's not just decorated for Christmas. The walls are green. Some walls are red. Like, it's stuff built into the house is Christmas colors, and it just, I don't know. I don't like it, but it was very fun because I think building in styles that are not your own personal aesthetic is really refreshing sometimes, and you're like, oh my god, this is so cool. I never would have thought to pair these things this way because I don't like them, but it looks kind of cool. Like looking at it, you're like, okay, that's kind of a cohesive design, even if it's weird. But anyway, we're in the kitchen here. I switched this up quite a few times because one of the floor plans I was looking at originally, which is a newer floor plan, the kitchen's in a very different orientation. And I originally had that, and then I was like, oh, wait, no. I want it to be exactly from the movie, which I didn't realize at first it wasn't. And it's kind of a strange kitchen because it's got this L-shaped counter in the middle. It's an island counter, so your Sims can sit at it and eat breakfast, which is kind of nice, but it's still kind of a weird orientation, I think. And we end up putting plenty of stools at it. They are not the same ones that are in the movie, but I had to decide what was more important, the color of the stools or the shape of the stools, and I went with them being circle. So we end up having those later. And then the wallpaper in here changes as well. I'm trying to think. I think I used one from Realm of Magic, which had the right pattern on the wall. It just also added quite a bit of, I don't know what they'd be called. Like not a baseboard, but like paneling halfway up the wall. That wasn't present, but the pattern was a lot more realistic. And this just looks so ugly looking at it right now, these floors with this wallpaper. There's definitely some interesting choices in this house for sure. I also changed the top of these cabinets or countertops. I always say the wrong words there. The top of these countertops to be a darker color later because they're kind of like a bluish green in the movie. But we don't really have that. But it has a similar texture, so I wanted to use these counters. And I just made them a little bit darker later on. And here we are realizing there is a staircase into the kind of kitchen breakfast nook area. So we're trying to make sure that works and ignoring the floor plan upstairs and the random bright couches in the corner there. I just placed those so I could remind myself what rooms I thought they were going to be, which it ends up changing a little bit later. That ends up being an office space. So not sure why there's rainbow couches in there right now. But that'll look different later. And that was one of the rooms that I had absolutely no reference for. Like the other room on the other side of the house, which you don't really see, you just kind of see through the hallway into it a little bit. There was a little bit of reference for that room. But for the office, which may or may not even be an office, I had no clue what to do with it. It's labeled on the floor plan as sunroom / miscellaneous. I was like, okay, it's going to be an office. I decided that. But of course, you guys can change any of these rooms around, make it to what you think the Home Alone house looks like, or just scrap the inside and make it for whatever family you think would be fun to live here. If you guys want to download this from the gallery, I will have it up there under my origin ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find it under the hashtag MsGryphi, which is my username here on YouTube. And it's over, I don't remember the exact amount, but it's over 300,000 simoleons. So it's it's an expensive house. And I placed it on the Oakenstead lot in Willow Creek because of the driveway it has. It's like a curved driveway, which was perfect for the front of this house. I think it looked really good. The only thing that's weird about this location is there's some palm trees in the background, which don't really make sense for Illinois, but that's okay. We're going to ignore that. It's The Sims. It's acceptable. But here we are into the breakfast area. I kind of skipped over it, but I used this light wood table with some pink flowers in the middle. I got rid of them in the end. They looked kind of like what I saw in the reference, but I feel like they just didn't fit, and I decided to change them out for, I think, just like some Christmassy candles in the end. So happy with how that came out. And also parts of this, I just keep going back and changing things. And at the very end of the video, the last thing I do is come back to the kitchen and add some more clutter. So don't worry that it's a little bit less cluttered. And then I move on to the rest of the house and there's just clutter everywhere. And it's like, what about the kitchen? Did you forget the kitchen? I did kind of, but like I went back and I fixed it up. And I'm very happy with how it came out. But here we are in the kitchen area still, and we're going to be adding our desk over here. There's like a cluttered desk with pictures galore above it. So I wanted to make sure to include that. If you wanted to add a computer on this desk, that would be a nice area to go ahead and do so. But we do have a clunky old computer in the office space that I made as well. And then I didn't record me doing this, but I had to make the furnace because I feel like that's iconic for the movie. And so I used some of these debug orb things from Realm of Magic and then one of the machinery pieces from Get to Work and just kind of threw those down here. And I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was fiddling around for a while trying to figure that out. So that's why that's not on camera, but you could see it down there. And the basement, like I said, does not end up being accurate whatsoever. It just has like the things that are down there. So we have the furnace, we have the washers and dryers, and then we have just clutter galore, as well as some activities for your Sims to do if you download the house. So it's not just super boring. So there's a ping pong table down there and a bunch of other stuff, but we'll get to that when we get to that room. For right now, we are in the dining room, and I think this room came out okay. I kind of switched which side things were on in here. So this table is actually supposed to be on the other side of the door, but the way I had the layout, I couldn't fit it there. So I put it on this side. So there's just like a couple funky things like that that don't quite fit the way they're supposed to. So I made do with what I had. I did that in the main hallway as well with those chairs that are supposed to be on either side of the console table. I shoved them under the steps because they didn't fit on either side of the table, and also allow for there to be archways into the different rooms you needed to access from the hallway. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to build a house directly from real life in The Sims, but there is something so incredibly satisfying about seeing an item in a picture and being like, we have that same thing in The Sims. And then when you can't find it, it's a little frustrating. And that's what happened with that little tea set. I was like, oh my gosh, we have that in the game. And I couldn't find it for the longest time. And I didn't even check what it was called. But there's sometimes I'm just like, why can't I just type in tea? And that comes up, but it didn't. But I thought that worked perfectly in this room. I really like how this dining room came out. We don't see this room too much in the film, but I wanted to make sure it was as accurate as possible. So a lot of just looking at a couple angled pictures, and some of it is just kind of improvised because I didn't see other angles. Some, they might exist, but I tried to be as accurate as possible, but there's some creative liberties as well. So we end up adding a globe bar in the other corner. We're going to switch it over in a second. And then a china cabinet over here as well. I just thought that made sense for the space. I feel like every house during that time frame, and even now, like with certain generations, there's just china cabinets everywhere. I don't own one, and I don't anticipate ever owning one because like I just have like plates from IKEA and Walmart. So I can't imagine having that, but it made sense for this house. And here we are trying to figure out the living room, and I have this towards the front of the house right now. And then I realized that that's wrong and it should be on the back of the house, but you're not going to see that switch. It's just all of a sudden it's going to be on the other side of the house, or like on the back. And we'll be putting like the grand piano and stuff over here, but I didn't include that because it was literally just moving furniture from one side of the room to the other, but it looks exactly the same. It's just technically on the other side afterward. And I'm happy I realized that before I got any further, which, I got pretty far with it before I realized it, but it would have been sad if I, did the entire room and moved on and was working on other stuff before I realized it. There's a really ugly chair that goes right here. It's like a florally, but we don't have that in the game. So I thought the best thing I could do that also could look like a footstool is this couch, or not this couch, this chair and ottoman from Cats and Dogs. So that's kind of what we went up and did. And then over here, it looks like there's another china cabinet, and I was like, we just can't have that many in this house. So I got this bookcase that has closed sections, which is from University Life. I thought that worked nicely. And then I was trying to decide which green couch we should use, and we ended up using the first one I placed down because it to me looked a little bit more like the right comfiness and like plushness of the couch. So I think that worked out pretty well. And then I just shove a chair back behind the tree because it looked like in the picture I was looking at there was one. It's not like this same color, but it was like this shape. So that's what we ended up doing in the end. And then just adding a mirror, and we should be just adding a couple more decorations before I flop it over to the other side of the room. I'm pretty sure I went through quite a few coffee tables before I decided on one. I think we went with one that came with Get Together. Yeah, this one. Because you can't see it too well, and I feel like there's a lot of basic items in real life a lot of people have that we just don't have in The Sims, which is a little frustrating. But I think I figured it out in the end, and here I am just adding some nutcrackers, and I grabbed some garland I want to hang on the fireplace, and now we're finally going to switch it over to the other side of the room. And voila, we're in the same area now, but now there's a piano here instead. So that's kind of weird, but I'm glad I realized that. So we're just adding some flowers up here. There's not actually a whole lot on this side of the room, and in The Sims, this room is bigger than it looks like it is in the movie, which is a little frustrating, but I think it worked out all right in the end. So we're just going to add a couple of end tables over here with, I think, a lamp on them and wall sconces above it, which I think is a little overkill, but I was just following decorations in the pictures. I don't use wall sconces that often. I feel like I should, because there's a lot of them that I really like, but we're just adding another bookcase over here to make it look a little bit more full, and then realizing that this wall should be open leading into kind of it's labeled as a family room, but it feels like just that extra room in people's houses. I feel like this is the family room that we're in right now, and then the other one is like the sitting room, if that makes sense. I'm not sure, but we're just making an open archway area into this room because I wanted you to be able to just walk in and have that illusion. So that's what we're doing here. We do end up moving it a little bit closer to the piano later on, but for right now it is right here, and I think that room came out pretty well. It's got a decent amount of just like walking by it hallway shots. You can kind of see what's in there, and so I did my best. It's very bright green in that room. Like I said, the colors in this house, like, it's decorated for Christmas no matter what day of the year it is, because the walls are Christmas colors, which is just quite a bit. But here we are just adding a couple of presents under the tree. I mean, that's more than a couple, but I wanted to make sure there were some of those. I did think about adding all kinds of traps around the house that Kevin had put down in this movie, but I didn't put really any. Later on, when I was finishing up the house and coming back to the living room area, it was just so empty by the piano, and I was like, you know what? We're going to put one of these training dummies from Strangerville in front of the window, so it looks like one of the props or like one of the mannequins or the cardboard cutouts that he had to make it look like people were dancing in the window. I thought that was kind of a cute idea, so I did place that in the end. But I think that's the only like trap type thing we have in the house, because this house was already so busy to begin with, and I figured if you guys wanted to play with this house, you probably wouldn't like want little toy cars at the bottom of the steps or any kind of crazy stuff around, but those are things you could definitely add easily to this house. I just wanted the basics of what it was, which is a lot more than just simple, because it's so cluttered and overly colorful. It's just like somebody was like, how do you want your house decorated? So you want Christmas decorations? What kind of Christmas decorations? And they were like, yes. And then just they vomited Christmas everywhere. That's what this house is to me. Let me know if you agree, because it's a little too much. I don't think I could ever have a house decorated like this. I mean, definitely not decorated like this, but I don't think I could ever go this over the top Christmas either. But, you know, who knows what the future will hold. This was so much fun to build, though, so I'm so happy that I got to do it, and I hope you guys do enjoy it. And now I'm just rambling because this is such a long voiceover. But this is that sitting room area I had mentioned. There's just a couple of couches, a chess table, and a side table. And I put some presents around in there as well to try and kind of fill it up. And I think we're about to grab this. Yeah, the training dummy is in there. And then this is the office space, which is not necessarily from the film. We just had an extra room. I didn't know what to do with it. And so it became an office that's painted red. because I used a lot of red and green in this house. I think it fits the style of the rest of the house pretty well. It's kind of formal. Maybe one of the parents does some like working from home stuff and has this fancy office. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we did see this room in the movie and it's not an office, or it is an office and it looks nothing like this. I'm not sure, but I did my best. And of course you guys can fix anything you'd like if you download this house. But I made sure to make it very red, but we have the green armchairs, and then we have the Don't Wake the Llama table over here, which I thought looked pretty nice. So there's definitely lots of activities in this house for your Sims to go ahead and enjoy. And then we ended up turning that one room right off of the kitchen into a little closet space. And now we're into the garage, which I had mentioned before I kept fairly simple and garage-like. So it just has a bunch of countertops in here, and then we have like a car and like what's it called? The woodworking bench, and I believe we also add some Christmas decorations over in the corner. Like, why are they in the garage? Why aren't they out? I imagine this house always has the real tree, which is inside the house, but one year somebody bought a fake tree and they just have it in the garage. They never threw it out. So that's kind of what I was thinking with that. And then just like the buckets that you can use to decorate the house, I kept in here as well, because usually you put those back away after you finish decorating. So I thought that was a good idea. That's probably one of my favorite items in the game. It's just so realistic to have those decoration buckets. I actually wonder if we're going to get more of those with the arts and crafts pack that we're voting on right now. If you guys voted in the vote for the knitting pack, which art style you wanted, I'm curious to see what you guys voted for. I'm very excited about it. Like, I'd be happy with literally any of them. I think I voted for DIY Delight because I thought it was really cute. But I'd be happy with any of the styles. Like, I'm just excited to have knitting and some new decorations. So that's going to be really, really fun to explore. But here you can see there's just a lot of random stuff in here. We even have a little kiddie pool. Just stuff everywhere. That's a garage. I don't know. Garages are kind of confusing on how to decorate. I feel like anything goes, but at the same time, it has to still have some kind of structure to it. And I don't feel like we have a lot to put in garages right now. I mean, we do, but they're kind of useless spaces, and that's why I convert them into gyms and stuff like that a lot of the time. But if we ever get functional cars, you know, that would be a great time to give us some cool garage stuff. I would love that. Honestly, it would be so cool if in February, to celebrate 20 years of The Sims, they were like, here's some cars, let's drive into the future of an amazing Sims franchise or something. Or like, our future is in our babies, and they update the babies. Like, those are the two things that I think everybody at this point has talked about. Whether you're for or against either of those things, those are the two biggest things people are demanding right now. So I feel like that would be a really good time to drop one or both of those, you know, like February, please Sims team. That would be amazing. I would be so happy. But we are in the master bedroom now. I used this bed because I knew it needed to be a 4-poster bed. And I know it looks like it's an 8-poster bed right now, because I was like, it's such a big bed. Maybe I should combine a couple of beds. But I was like, no, that doesn't look right, because it's not that wide. It's just a really tall bed. That's why it looks so big to me. But this room, we had a decent amount of reference for, but when you're looking at pictures and video footage of rooms, I feel like I always get confused. And I'm like, okay, so this is where this is. And then I'm like, no, I'm looking at it from the wrong angle. This is actually on the other side of the room. And that happens so many times in this build. It was ridiculous. So if you see me just all of a sudden swapping walls of things or rotating a lot, I apologize for that. I did actually keep this footage slower than I typically do my speed builds, because I was moving around so much because of what a crazy lot this is. And I know I kind of zoom around a lot in general when I build. That's just kind of how I build. I try to cut back on it a little bit, but at the same time, it's just how I naturally build stuff. And so when I get in the zone, I don't even think about it, which is something I do want to work on, because I know sometimes my builds can make you guys dizzy because I'm just like zooming here and there and everywhere. But that's just kind of how my brain works when I'm building. But I'm definitely going to try to work on that in the future. But I tried to cut out a lot of those zooms. Of course, there's still some in there because this is over 30 minutes of footage. But I tried my best to cut some of that out. But over here, we have a little table. I have no idea what it's for, but I put some presents on it. I think it came out pretty cute. And then I don't remember, did we add a plant in the corner? I'm not really sure what this room ended up being. It's just kind of weird. The whole house is weird. And that fireplace moving is one of those things where I was convinced it was across from the bed. at the foot of the bed, and it wasn't. It was like to the side of the bed. So I had to switch that because it's just really hard to figure out where things are in the game. I added a bunch of Christmas trees throughout this house. I think there is only one in the living room, but I thought it looked nice to have them in other places as well. So I did that. And this feels like the type of family that would do that, considering the whole house looks like it's Christmas all the time. Why wouldn't they have Christmas trees in every room? Well, every room except for this room. This is Buzz's room. The orientation of it doesn't make any sense, but I did place it where the floor plans I was looking at said it was located, and I like how it came out. It's just a little bit the wrong shape. It's supposed to be longer and narrower instead of wide like this, but I made it work the best I could and just kind of gave it the vibe of the room. And that's the best I could do with a lot of these rooms, is just trying to make them look as accurate as possible, but not stressing too much if they weren't exact. So I also was just painting the other rooms, trying to make them look interesting, because I realized from one of the screenshots that the that the walls in the hallway were bright green. So I wanted to change that, and that the flooring was that red carpet. There was like a runner rug down the hallway. And here we are doing these shelves, which I think are just very iconic to the movie because Kevin knocks them all down. There's also our lovely spider friend over there, which we'll be adding. There's some sports posters on the walls. So I did my best to, like, they were like athlete posters, specific like baseball players and basketball players and stuff like that on the walls. We don't really have that in game though, so I just added these and then put lots of clutter up here. But of course I wanted to add the spider, and I don't know if we have a spider creature in the game or not. So what I did is I grabbed one of the insects from Outdoor Retreat and put it up there, and then I sized down one of the spider decorations from Spooky Day Stuff. I think it was the Spooky Day Stuff one, unless there's one from Seasons as well. Anyway, it's a spider decoration, and I put it inside the terrarium. Yeah, it's this guy. He's from Spooky Day. And I thought that worked really, really well. It's disgusting, but I thought it was very important to have our little spider friend in here. And I love how I'm calling him a little spider friend, but if I met him in real life, I'd probably be shrieking and running away. But I liked that and all the clutter, and I loved that I could just add that baseball bat at the end of the shelving unit, because that's actually there in the pictures I was looking at. But I just put a bunch of clutter up here, make it look like just full of junk and full of personal belongings, all the stuff that you can topple over if you knock down this whole shelving unit. So this was really fun. This is probably one of my favorite parts of the build to do, was just the shelves in this room. And then the other two bedrooms, like I had mentioned, that are on this floor, I have no idea who they belong to because I don't know who lives in this house. So they're just kind of generic, match the rest of the house. But I think they came out all right in the end. You'll see that when we get to them. The rest of this room, I just have a wardrobe in. We have built-in closets in all of the rooms in this house, or all the bedrooms, I believe. There's not one in the attic, I don't think. Unless I did add one. Because I know at one point I was thinking about adding one up there, but I think I didn't end up doing that in the end. But this room just ends up having all the basics you need, and it's kind of cluttered. It has just random stuff around. We have a dresser over here because in the picture it kind of looks like this is across from the bed. It's an older dresser or a desk, and it looks like it has a typewriter on it, which we don't have typewriters in the game, so I just put this old PC on it. I thought that worked out pretty well. I mean, it might not be a typewriter, but it looked like it was one of those electric typewriters. My sister had one of those growing up, and I was just like, oh, that looks like hers. So that's that. And then I also added a laundry basket in here. I think that's the only laundry basket in the whole lot. So everybody's dirty clothes are going to go into Buzz's room, and I think that's amazing. I'm very happy with that decision. He deserves all of the dirty clothes. Oh boy. Anyway, we're just adding a couple more things in here, and then we should be moving into the generic bedrooms I had mentioned. They came together really quickly because I didn't have to reference and make sure they matched a certain thing. I just kind of got to do my own thing, and I thought this wallpaper was so perfect. It's literally green and red and stripy. It's just hideous, but perfect. I was very excited about it. So hopefully you guys like this room too. But I'm just curious if anyone also has similar memories and a fondness for this movie that I do, or if there's a certain Christmas movie you guys connect with every year, or holiday movie, or just winter movie or summer movie, depending on where you are and what things you like to watch this time of year. Very curious to hear that. I feel like my two movies are Home Alone and Elf. Most likely there's a lot of really good ones though. I'm actually really excited. Tomorrow evening, so Christmas evening, I'm going to just chill at home, make dinner with my boyfriend, and watch Christmas movies all night. Very excited about that because that'll be my first chance to just hang out and relax and enjoy the holiday because I'm going to work tonight. Christmas Eve working is not fun, but gotta do what I gotta do. But at least I got to hang out and work on this build and get this out and share this with you guys because I mean, yes, I feel like this totally got me into the holiday spirit and has been so much fun to create, but I'm just rambling now. But very curious to hear what everyone's holidays traditions are, as well as like what movies you love to watch around the holidays. I know the animated claymation movies are really good as well. But this is the other bedroom that is kind of generic, could be for anybody. I added an easel in here just so there'd be some sort of skill building item, but it's just very red and green like the rest of the house. And then at the end of the hallway here, this one was labeled as miscellaneous / office, and I was like, so a playroom. So we have a playroom for the kids because there's so many children in this house. I feel like there's got to be a room you just send them all off to. It's just like, okay, leave the adults alone and go in there. So that's kind of what I did with this room. So there's lots of toys around. There's a old like beaten up couch. There's a place to do some arts and crafts, puppet shows, a little TV. I think this just came out cute and I thought it was pretty realistic. I know growing up when we would go over to my aunt's house, she had a room like this at the end of the hallway upstairs. So I really liked enjoying. Yep. I really liked including that because I thought it was a very realistic and enjoyable thing to add to the top floor. And now we're up in the attic, which is, like I said, probably the most unrealistic room in this house. But I did try to get the essence of the room. It has like the same feel to it. It's just not the right shape. Nothing's correct about it, but I just wanted it to kind of feel like this bed up in the middle of an attic full of junk. It's definitely not a place you want to go hang out and sleep. It's kind of a mess. It's gross. It's broken. It is what it is. So that's kind of what this space ends up being. I think it came out all right in the end, but let me know what you guys think. It was just like weird because where it wanted me to put the staircase to go up here didn't make sense with the floor plan downstairs at all. And then up here, the floor plan did not account for any of the dormer windows. And I was like, there are dormers on this house. I don't know what you expect me to do about that. So I just kind of did my own thing, added a bathroom up here so that, you don't have to walk down the steps if you're up here and you need to go to the bathroom. And then just lots of clutter, boxes, electrical boxes, cobwebs, rips and tears, storage, junk. I just really enjoyed that. I love like cluttered builds like this. I think the garage and the attic are kind of fun places to decorate in the houses because you can just experiment a little bit. And then I put this little divider here that has stickers on it. I was like, oh, the kids can just stick stuff on there, when they go and play up in the attic to get away, or they get kicked up there because they're annoying their parents and being like, I wish you guys weren't my family, or whatever exactly he said. I just watched this like 2 or 3 days ago. Why did I not remember what he said about I wish I didn't have a family anymore, or I wish you weren't my family? But anyway, when you get like yelled at and sent to the attic, there's some stuff to do up there, but it's kind of gross. But here we are in the basement, which, like I said, is also not super realistic, especially because there's a foosball table at the end of the steps. But I thought that would be a fun thing to have to go ahead. That's not a foosball table. That's a ping pong table. Have I been calling it a foosball table this whole time? We have a ping pong table at the bottom of the steps. I thought that would be a fun activity to do. I could imagine like Buzz and a couple of the other older kids down here just messing around, maybe playing some juice pong that they shouldn't be. I also added like a little rat down here, a bunch of storage, this random statue. I feel like there's just random weird stuff in the shots we have of the basement. I'm just like, it's kind of creepy. There's such weird items down there. What were those used for? Why are they there? So I wanted to add a little bit of that to this basement. And then of course some posters and rips and tears on the walls as well to make it look a little bit more filled in. And I don't know what else we add down here. I just think of some laundry clutter as well. And we already added the couch and stuff, so there's a little TV down here. It's pretty simple, but I think it worked out pretty well in the end. I'm pretty happy with it, even though, like I said, this room isn't super accurate. I think it worked out. Let me know what you guys think, though, and if you're like, no, there's this one thing you forgot. If there's anything I forgot in this build, I'd love to know what that is. I'm sure there's plenty of things I forgot. It's such a big house. It's so big. I'm used to building tiny houses that are like the size of a bathroom in this house, and I built this today, which was really, really fun. So I'm glad I did it, but it was definitely a lot. So let me know what you guys think. Of course, we're just going to be finishing up a little bit here. The last thing we'll be doing, like I had mentioned, is popping into the kitchen to add some more clutter because I felt like it wasn't cluttered enough in there compared to what I did with the rest of the house after I did it. I feel like that always happens. I always end up going back to something and I'm like, okay, this wasn't good enough. This is the first thing I did, and so let's fix it. So that's what we're doing, just adding a bunch of like tea and some Christmas decorations, some general kitchen clutter around the place to make it look a little bit more lived in and just a little bit more cohesive with the rest of the house, because I think you can just tell this was the first thing I did. But we're just adding some pastries over on the counter, some sauces, some fruit. We're going to be adding some books on top of the microwave, which were not things I saw in the pictures, although I did see some like decorative pot holders hanging from the cabinets. I really want pot holders as decorative things in this game. That would be so cute. Ooh, I wonder if that's something we could get with the knitting pack. Although you don't usually knit pot holders, but you can crochet them. You could knit them. I used to make them as a child. If we got embroidery, we could have gotten that, but the top voted thing was knitting, followed up by pottery, which are definitely my top two as well. So that's fine. Whatever we get, I'm excited about. And now I'm just rambling about a different thing at the end of this video, but I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And if you click that bell, it'll turn on notifications so you'll be notified of every single time I upload a new video. Hope everyone has a wonderful holiday, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.